In the early hours of September 25th, a place built to contain the most determined men of the Troubles became the site of a daring escape no one believed possible. 38 prisoners, armed not with weapons, but with patience, observation, and sheer will, slipped through the cracks of a fortress designed to be escape-proof. What drives someone to gamble their life on freedom? How do men in chains outmaneuver a system built to control every breath they take? Today, we peel back the layers of this extraordinary event. We explore the planning, the fear, the chaos, and the shockwaves that rippled across a nation. Maze Prison, better known as Long Kesh, was more than concrete walls and steel fences. It was a political battleground. Inside its H-blocks lived men whose lives, loyalties, and losses were shaped by conflict. Their bodies were locked away, but their minds never stopped calculating. Step inside these walls with us. Every corridor has its secrets. Every cell holds a story. And in this prison, the impossible wasn't impossible for long. Maze Prison stood just outside Lisburn, in the tense heart of Northern Ireland during the Troubles. Designed as a maximum security labyrinth, the prison held both Republican and Loyalist inmates, men deeply tied to the political violence outside its walls. Tall fences layered with razor wire, armored gates, floodlights washing over watchtowers, patrolling guards armed and alert. On paper, Maze was a perfect machine of control, but inside, another world existed. Life inside Maze was harsh and monotonous. Prisoners were divided by faction, isolated from families, and placed under strict routines. Meals, exercise, work shifts, all scheduled, all controlled. But routine became a double-edged sword. The more predictable the system, the easier it was to study. Men became experts in silence, watching guard rotations, memorizing footsteps, analyzing the rhythm of doors and locks. A glance exchanged across a yard, a coded tap on a wall, a harmless joke shared with a guard to measure his mood. These small moments became the building blocks of rebellion. Outside the walls, Northern Ireland was burning. Bombings, checkpoints, and military patrols were part of everyday life. For many prisoners, their incarceration was not the end of their struggle. It was a continuation of it. From their perspective, this was not imprisonment. It was a battlefield, one with walls. Maze was believed to be escape-proof, a prison designed to crush any hope of flight. But hope has a way of growing in the darkest corners. And behind those locked doors, in whispered conversations and careful observations.
Do you think we'll ever get out of here? Only if we can crack the code.
Determination was quietly taking shape. The stage was set, slowly, silently, for one of the most ambitious prison breaks in modern history. The planning began not with a meeting, but with a single observation, a guard rotation slightly off schedule, a key left too long in a lock, a security door that didn't shut properly, small cracks in a giant system. Republican prisoners began to compile these details like pieces of a puzzle. Day after day, they moved with deliberate normalcy, never rushing, never drawing attention. Laundry rooms, kitchens, workshops, corridors. Every space became a chance to gather information. Tools were smuggled in discreetly. A metal file hidden inside food trays, a screwdriver tucked into laundry, a stolen map sketch passed between hands during a routine chore. Meetings were held only in the safest ways, in coded whispers behind cell doors, or during moments when guards were distracted. Men learned to communicate entire plans with just footsteps or the scrape of a cup against a table. The pressure was suffocating. A single mistake could mean solitary confinement or worse. Yet the prisoners' resolve grew. They determined who would take the greatest risks, who was strong enough to overpower guards, who could memorize routes, who could stay calm in chaos. Weeks turned into months. The plan evolved, shifted, tightened. A single unified goal emerged: escape together, or not at all. Outside, guards maintained their routines, unaware that every habit, every gesture, every oversight was being catalogued. By late September, the operation had turned from possibility to inevitability. What had begun as quiet observation had become a precise, audacious blueprint for the impossible September 25th. Before dawn, Mays Prison seemed calm. Silent corridors, dim lights, guards settling into routine. But beneath that calm, adrenaline surged. Then, everything snapped into motion. In a coordinated strike, prisoners seized an opportunity, overpowering certain guards, taking keys, and moving with a speed born of desperation. The air filled with the echo of boots, the clatter of metal, the shouts of men caught off guard. Doors flew open. Panic rippled through the block. Some prisoners used brute strength. Others relied on deception. A guard was tricked into opening a door. Another was pinned before he could trigger an alarm. Every second felt like an eternity. The escape route was memorized to perfection. Corridors became tunnels of chance. Any wrong turn could lead to a dead end and a lifetime lost. But the men pressed forward. Outside, the final barrier awaited. A fence weakened over weeks with smuggled tools and patient work. Under the cover of darkness, they sliced through the metal. The cold air hit their faces as they slipped out, one by one, into the night. 38 men vanished into the countryside. Inside Mays, chaos exploded. Sirens wailed. Guards scrambled. Confusion rippled across the entire facility. For years, Mays had stood as a symbol of unbreakable authority. Tonight, it lay shaken, its vulnerabilities laid bare. For the escapees, those first moments of freedom were brief but electric, an intoxicating taste of victory over a system designed to crush their will. Authorities reacted instantly. Roadblocks sprouted across Northern Ireland. Soldiers and police swept fields, farms, and forests. Helicopters roared overhead, scanning every shadow. Some escapees were captured quickly, cornered, exhausted, or betrayed by chance. Others managed to slip deeper into sympathetic communities or across guarded lines. The manhunt became one of the largest in Northern Irish history. The breakout dominated global headlines. Newspapers called it astonishing, embarrassing, a catastrophic security failure. Politicians clashed over what it symbolized: a political act, a criminal act, an act of war. Inside Mays, changes were immediate: new fences, stricter protocols, enhanced surveillance. But the psychological impact was even greater. Guards questioned their routines. Officials questioned the very structure of the prison system. The escape had exposed not just physical weaknesses, but human ones. The Mays prison escape remains one of the largest and most controversial prison breaks in modern history. Its legacy reaches far beyond the prison itself. It forced governments to rethink security. It became a potent symbol for supporters of the escapees. It sparked debate, inspired books, films, and songs, and entered the collective memory of the conflict. For many, the escape demonstrated something deeper: the power of human ingenuity and the lengths to which people will go when driven by belief, conviction, or desperation. In a world of walls, cameras, and control, the 1983 breakout remains a reminder that determination can sometimes outmatch even the strongest institutions. As we conclude our journey through the Mays prison mass breakout of 1983, we reflect on a remarkable event that challenged the limits of authority, control, and human endurance. It was more than an escape. It was a statement, a risk, a moment that changed lives and reshaped history. Thank you for joining us as we uncovered this extraordinary story of conflict, strategy, and unbreakable will. Until next time, remember, sometimes the strongest walls are the ones that inspire the boldest defiance.